right. You still feel good? You still sound all right?
Feel great.
How was that pizza?
Pizza was fantastic, by the way. Thank you very much.
Hey,
one of the best in the city, for sure.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yep,
Thank you, man.
Well, dude, so thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. This
It's
is
like old times, man.
It is. It really is like old times. I mean, yeah, you were on the podcast probably almost 2 years ago now.
Has it been that long?
I think it's been that long.
Wow.
I'll have to look it up. I'll flash it up on the screen. If anybody wants to check out the podcast, Greg was on the What's Good Tampa show. Check it out. But, yeah, without further ado, welcome to Tampa Bay Banter, episode 3 now.
Okay.
I have very special guest Greg Wolf on here. You probably know Greg Wolf from hosting the Lightning games there live. He's also Vice President of Street Laced, what do you say, Street Laced DJ?
Street Laced Marketing, Promotions, DJs, it's all under the same
You guys really
umbrella.
do everything under the sun in that
We
company,
do.
which is really awesome.
Yes, we do.
So he makes a huge impact on here in the local community. He hosts events all over Tampa Bay, and he's got a really busy schedule. So thank you so much for taking the time to come out and hang out with me here today at Duamici. This episode is sponsored by Duamici, by the way. And I really do have to thank you over and over again for doing this because I mean you have to be exhausted. I mean you had a Lightning game last night.
Yeah.
New grandfather, by the way. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And then you've got another game tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Nice victory last night.
Huge.
So, I mean, do you ever have that moment where you're like, God, I got to get out there in front of this crowd, and I am just dead tired. I really don't want to be here right now, but I got to show it.
No, not really, because I'm pretty good at scheduling and time management.
Uh-huh.
So I kind of plan my weeks knowing what I have coming up that week. So on game days specifically, I try to minimize the amount of street lace business, Blazing Wolf Productions business, like any other stuff outside of the game realm. I try to temper that as much as I can on a game day. I try to get into a routine just like a player does as far as what you try to do on game day. So I get up in the morning, I'll check emails, get things behind me, go to the gym, grab a protein shake, go home, check out some more email stuff. I have windows, and then I have to be at the arena relatively early. I don't think people realize, it's a 7 o'clock game. He just shows up, rocks the mic, and does his thing. No, I normally leave my house by 3 because, let's be real, traffic in Tampa has increased tenfold.
It can be
so
tough.
what normally would be a 20-minute ride to work now is honestly taking 45 minutes.
Wow.
It's insane. And I don't live that far from the arena, but just Bayshore and the Crosstown Expressway going from Gandy to downtown, it's just congestion now. It's become like I-4 in Orlando. It's crazy. So you have to pre-plan for those things now. So I'm at the arena by 4 o'clock on a game day. So and then you figure the game goes till 10, 11 o'clock at night. So by the time you get home, get out of traffic, it's an 8-hour work day, right?
Yeah, sure.
So no, I don't get too tired or I got to work again because I love what I do. The only time that might come into play is if I have a doubleheader, and that has happened a few times where I have a USF basketball game to host during the day, and then literally have to haul ass to Amalie and then host the hockey game at night.
That would be exhausting.
It's
I can
a lot.
only imagine.
You got to give energy for both and give them the equally amount of the same energy too. So that would be the only time. But even still, then I love what I do. So it's not really work to me. Yes, it's work, but it's not. It's not really work.
Yeah, and it really, I got to give you credit because it really does come across that you love what you do when we're watching you up there doing your thing.
For sure.
But I don't believe you that you're never just tired and just don't feel like I can't be here.
I'm a fan of the power nap.
Me too. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially if you can get it. And the good thing is, again, the games are in the evening. I can make time in my day to do a little power nap before I have to get up and get ready to go to the game. So that's huge too. If you have, I'm a huge advocate of naps. So is Braden Point, as we've learned as well.
Yeah.
But it's huge, especially if you work long hours. To kind of get that reset, that recharge. If you can do it, you should try for sure.
And so you've been doing the Lightning podcast now too. How's that been for you?
It's been amazing. Brandon Coburn's a great cohort of mine. Didn't really know when that dynamic kind of came into play, how that was going to work because he being a former player, how does he translate being a former player into now being on a radio podcast? And he's been doing great work with the Fox or the FanDuel Sports broadcast now as well. He fills in when Anderchuk can't or Adam Hall, so he'll fill in on game days now. So he's getting the TV experience. So you never really know how the chemistry is going to be.
Sure.
But he and I have taken it serious. And again, now we have chemistry with each other. We know like timing with each other. We kind of like can look at each other and know like when somebody's going to pick up a question or where I'm going to take the conversation. We have powwow sessions before, and I like it because he comes from the player perspective and can speak about things I could never.
Sure.
And then I come from it as a fan perspective, and I want to know things just as a fan, right?
Yeah.
So the dynamic works well, and he'll come to the table with questions that I would have never thought of that.
Right.
And then, I'm coming to the table with questions he would have never thought of. So the dynamic has been working well. We're heading into, I think our third season now, which is crazy to think that. We started kind of mid, and then we did the full 2 seasons, so now we're heading into our third. And it's been awesome. And again, for me, being the host of the Lightning, I've never really had the opportunity to really interact with the players on a personal level, unless it was like a charity event or something like that. But even still, like you're working, they're working.
Yeah.
So I'm in the arena, I'm in the stands, they're on the ice. Like, where's the time to interact?
Right.
So when this opportunity presented itself to host the Bolts Block Party, I was thrilled because now here's my opportunity to actually get to talk to these guys and ask them the questions and things that I want to know.
Yeah.
And so I think that's resonated with our fans. Now we do live shows at the tap room once a month.
That's fun. So fans get to interact.
Yeah, they get to
ask
talk
questions.
And so it's been great as well. We just had Anthony Sorelli on this past week, and we've got another show coming up. Actually, we have 2 live shows, I believe, coming up this month, which we had to cram one in because there's some obligations to sponsorships, as you know.
Yeah,
but that's been great, too, for the fans to get to kind of interact with the players in that regard as well. It hasn't really happened prior, except for, at charity events. It's really opened the door for myself and for our fans to kind of get a glimpse into the players off the ice, and it's been awesome.
I love that. Yeah, and I think you're right. That dynamic of a player perspective and a fan perspective really makes for a unique show.
It does.
And answering everybody's kind of questions. You're not missing a beat, I don't think, when you have 2 totally different mind perspectives of the game.
Correct.
Right?
So. And that's why I love, like I said, when we kind of powwow before we go live or recording it, Kobe and I get a chance to sit down and what do you got on the paper and what do you got? And it's just like, wow, I would have, like I said, I would have never thought of that. And then he digs in more too, because Kobe, literally in the hockey world, 6 degrees of separation when it comes to Braden Coburn it's amazing. The amount of people he knows, or he went to some camp, back in the day and played with this guy and his brother, and it's just like, dude, there's some tie you have with everybody. It blows my mind, but the hockey world, as massive as it is, it's a pretty tight community.
That's awesome.
Cool.
That's awesome. Greg, this is my beautiful producer,
Hello,
Stella.
hello. How are you, Stella?
So I love that. Tell me something as far as the preparation goes, because you mentioned you have to be at the arena earlier to host these games. What is some of the preparation before the show actually begins? What is that like?
So it's different for each sport that I host, right? So I'm a host for the Tampa Bay Lightning. That's completely different than me hosting for USF football or USF basketball or even a Tampa Bay Sun, soccer game. It's all different, but every game is scripted, right? And people, I don't think on the surface know that. That as far as not it's scripted.
It's scripted. Yeah, be careful how you say that.
No, I'm saying as scripted as far as the amount of time you have from the moment the doors open to the moment the game is over. You have a specific time frame to entertain your fans. And that includes interacting with your TV audiences and TV timeouts, how that correlates to the game that's happening in the stadium and the timing that you have. So there are so many moving parts, right? Sure. From the projection that you see on the boards, the video boards, the crew that's in the control room that's controlling it all, from the light show to the DJ to the PA to the host to the national anthem to the blue crew to the contesting. It's an absolute symphony where you have multiple directors kind of going through. So you need to get everybody on the same page to make sure everybody knows their role. So the only way to do that, because every game night, especially at the Lightning, every game night's different. Whether it's a different theme night, we're honoring somebody. There's so many moving parts, and it changes every single game night. So that's why you have to get there 3 hours early to kind of run through everything with everybody to know what's going on tonight. Oh, we have a presentation. Did you know so-and-so is going to be in the house? Greg, by the way, Baker Mayfield's going to be doing the Tesla coils. Holy crap. I want to know that. So, so you need to know those things. So it is a complete symphony and orchestra that changes every single night. But there's just so many moving parts, so you got to make sure that everybody is in tune with what's going on so that we can execute it flawlessly. And it's the same, like I said, for USF basketball, for Tampa Bay Sun. Like we have a time frame that we have to work within, and they're going to want to fill those not dead spaces, but like especially at a Lightning game, it's never not moving, right? So the moment the whistle blows, either the DJ's playing music, we're going to a funny video piece, like it's constantly moving. There's never downtime. And that's what you want because that's the sensory overload that you're trying to create.
Yeah. And have like, I guess for your parts specifically, like when it's you up on the screen or like you're doing the games or like whatever you're doing, like do you have any say in what that is, or is that kind of just given to you, Greg, this is what you're doing today?
Pretty much. I mean, because, again, the team has obligations, whether that's sponsorship-driven, whether that's just the brainstorm, the ideas the production team has come up with. You're there to execute the goal, right? You're the director of fun, so to speak, but you're there to execute the goal. They do value input, and, you know, I'm constantly giving feedback if something didn't go right, or maybe we can tweak this and do it a little bit differently to make it seamless, a little bit more seamless. Perfect example, we do a skee ball contest that is sponsored, and it's changed over the years who sponsors it. Now it's BMW. They kind of came in a little bit late into the season, so now your sponsors change. Well, there's a car involved, and the car changes every game. So like again, you need to know that. Like, well, last week it was an M5, now it's a X whatever. So I need to know that information because the sponsor is betting on you selling that car, so to speak, to the fans. Like, wow, that's a beautiful blue. I want to go check out that car tomorrow. That's what you're trying to do.
Yeah, sure.
But we did the game a few nights ago, and the contestants, and again, this is the blue crew, not their fault, but they set up the balls too close to each other, and then the contestants were also too far from the ramp. So they're struggling trying to get a bowling lane, so to speak, because so like little things like that, like guys, make sure the balls are further apart, right?
Little details.
And make sure that they're standing a little bit closer to the ramp. Like things that you need to adjust on the fly, but we can't do it in the moment, so you got to remember for the next game. So there are adjustments, and you do have input, but a lot of the things that you see, whether those are trivia, whether those are, you know, select a song contests or whatever, that is the Lightning Vision crew kind of curating all of that, and then I kind of get there to execute.
Got it. Okay.
I'm the executor.
You're an executor.
Yeah, man.
So the crew made a little bit of a slip up the other night. No big deal. Those things happen.
Sure does.
But what about you? Have you ever had a slip up or like a little blunder that maybe you just
it happens because again, there's a lot of moving parts. And
is there a memorable one that really stands out? An embarrassing story.
Not so much because, again, you try to prepare as much as possible. I will say this. I was a little surprised last night because Thunderbug had Blue, who is the Indianapolis Colts mascot.
Okay.
And my guess is the reason I was like, why is he here? I mean, his name is first of all, his name is Blue, and so I'm thinking, oh, his name is Blue. He's a mascot. We're Blue, right?
Yeah.
Not thinking, oh, well, the NFL Pro Bowl games were just in Orlando, so he was in town. So I guess, you know, mascots all have buddies with each other. It doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't always have to make sense.
Yeah, sure.
So last night we do the bubble ball battle, and I didn't know that Blue was going to absolutely truck the contestants, right? Like literally just be as violent as possible.
Really?
Like they're trying to play a soccer game, and between Thunderbug and Blue, they're just running and trucking the contestants, and they're going flying. And like I didn't know, like, was this planned, right? Or like he's going hard on them, like he's like dragging them down, and I was like,
were they kids? Or
they were, so they were not kids. I think that they like, because again, Blue was on tape recently, like in a game with like fourth graders.
I saw that.
And
That's what I saw.
Right, so that same energy was what was going on last night, and I was like, nobody told me that this guy's going to get hardcore with it, and it was great, and the fans loved it, and everybody was fine. They were college age kids. But it was a little surprising. Like, I did not know it was going to kind of go to that degree last night.
That's
so
wild.
You kind of go with the flow.
I missed
the
that
only other time I was completely dumbfounded, everybody was in on this gag except for me, was on Star Wars night, where they had this gentleman who was being featured as a small business. This is why they threw me, because they're like, so-and-so from whatever part of the town, the Bay Area. He is a collectibles guy. Legos are his specialty, and he put together this like it was like this spaceship thing that was a Star Wars thing. It was a massive thing. And so they're like, Greg, you're going to interview this guy as this like a small business spotlight in the Lexus lounge area during the intermission. And so I'm literally talking to him. I'm like, how many hours did it take you? And he's like explaining, we're all in Star Wars. And here comes Thunderbug dressed as Princess Leia. And so he's explaining I don't know, he said it was like 90 hours of work and thousands of pieces. Yeah. And so here comes Thunderbug, and I see him pick it up, and I'm like, and he's just trying to be like Princess Leia with the spaceship. And then all of a sudden, he literally like trips, and the thing goes flying, and I'm like, oh my God, it goes flying out of his hand, smashes into 1,000 pieces on the ground. And the camera, I did not know any of this was supposed to happen. So the camera is literally zoomed in on my face to get my reaction, and I literally froze. And that's the first time I wanted to curse, like, oh, Thunderbug, you effed up. Like, I wanted to say it so bad, but I froze, and I was like, oh my God, what just happened? And then Thunderbug, like, runs off, and the dude is pissed, right? And again, he's in on it. I don't know any of this. So I look at him, and he's mad. And I'm like, oh my God, he just, this is this guy's moment. He's a small business owner. This is his spotlight. He's explaining his business. And then all of a sudden, Bug comes in and destroys his creation. That took him 90 hours to make. And he runs off pissed going after Thunderbug, and they're just like shooting at me. And I'm like, okay, guys, back to you. Like, I didn't know what to say. And then come to find out, everybody was in on the gag except for me.
Except for you. So that whole thing was just set up to just prank you, basically.
Yes.
You got to love to work for an organization like that.
That's fun. I mean, it was all in good fun. The good thing is I did not curse. I wanted to.
Yeah, what would they have done then? I mean,
I don't know. I'm a professional. There's no delay in that instance. But again, you're in a family environment. You can't be dropping F-bombs. But if there was ever a time that it was close, it was probably that.
That was the moment.
That was the moment, man.
Do you ever, before you start hosting the games, do you ever get nervous anymore? Or is it just second nature to you?
The only times I've gotten nervous, there are moments that I definitely remember. Stanley Cup championship, Stanley Cup final.
Big deal.
Big deal. Like when we were up with Sticks of Fire to like start the game, right? Like I'm up there, I'm surrounded by 307. All the crazies are around me, and like we're starting our presentation, and it's the on ice projection, and it's like insane energy, and then boom, spotlight to Greg with all the crazy maniacal fans behind him. And in that moment, like the national TV audience, like everybody's eyes are on you. In those instances, like your heart is like jumping out of your chest. But then I kind of just black out because I know what I need to do. Yeah. And I kind of don't remember what I say, how I say it. I just know it ends with everybody screaming with me, "Be the Thunder."
Yeah.
And so, but in those moments specifically, it's not like you're nervous. It's like it's adrenaline more than anything, but it is nervous energy. Like, oh my God, this moment is massive right now. Yeah. Everybody's paying attention to you to get them fired up.
Yeah.
Crazy moments. The only other times would be the NHL, like league events, the big ones, the All-Star weekends, the Stadium Series, Winter Classic. Not, again, so much about, it's jitters, but it's like it's happy, excited jitters now. Sure. Because, again, this is my 18th season hosting for the Lightning, 18 seasons, and I'm season 11 with USF Athletics. And these like national, international league events for the NHL, they didn't come until the last, since 2018 was the first when we had NHL All-Star here. So all of those years put in, none of those opportunities ever happened. And then, towards the later part of my career is when some of the bigger moments have happened. So those are really the times I've only gotten nervous, but again, just excited energy.
And how do you even get a job like that? Like, how did you fall into hosting the Lightning 18 seasons ago? That's crazy.
When I was on the air here in Tampa on Wild 98.7, the gentleman that hired me, his name is Mark Gullett, he hired me to be on the street team. And
good old street team.
Good old street team for Wild. The Wild Bunch, the whole nine. And so he was the director of marketing when that station was created. And literally about a year into the station's creation, he got it off and running. Everything was rocking. He takes a job as vice president of marketing for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So he's over there now. I'm still working as, promotions, and eventually end up on the radio as the night show here in Tampa. And did that for almost 6 years and was the #1 rated night show. In that time frame, as you know, radio and ticket giveaways, whether it's Bucks, Rays, Lightning, people are giving away. And we had the
big
Tampa
deal.
Bay Storm back then. So
Yep.
ticket giveaways went hand in hand with on air. So Mark and I had a great working relationship over those years. He used to send the like the Storm cheerleaders down when they needed to like push their auditions, or the Lightning girls or whatever. So go down to Greg's night show. You guys can push on this show or whatever. So we had a great working relationship. So when my contract was over in radio, he's the first person I approached. I was like, Mark, I would love to work for you again. Obviously,
That's awesome.
love hockey, love Lightning. He's like,
Yep.
Greg, I would hire you tomorrow if I had something. He didn't have anything. So instead of taking a job in radio in another market, which I got interviewed all over the country, which was a whole nother, it's like feeling like a college recruit. It was awesome.
Right.
It was
Yeah,
awesome. It
that's
was a whole
cool.
nother story. I waited it out because I had a severance package, so I kind of waited. And sure enough, I'm glad I did, because eventually I got a call from him. And he said, I think I might have a position that you would be good for. And I was like, holy crap. And it turned out to be a marketing coordinator for the Tampa Bay Lightning, basically working under the vice president of
How
marketing.
fun is
so
that? Yeah.
so basically handling all the marketing aspects. Again, this is kind of before social media. So everything was kind of traditional media, print ads, radio, TV, ticket giveaways. We were responsible for ordering all the premium items, bobbleheads, T-shirts, all the
Yeah.
giveaway nights. Like, we did all that, the artwork, the creative. Like, we did a lot of stuff. And so in that time frame, I'm in the building now, coming from radio, and so I used to have to host the plaza, like go outside and kind of, Greg, that's your realm. You have to, and that was another part of the job, was overseeing the plaza, booking the bands, booking the DJs, working with sponsorship and sales to make sure that so-and-so's tent is going to be out here today, make sure you have a space for them, and coordinating that and make sure they get their parking passes, all that stuff fell under my my umbrella, so to speak. So
How old were you at this time?
Great question. 2006, so I was probably 20, late 20s.
Yeah,
mid
it's a
to
lot of
late 20s.
responsibility.
It was, but again, he knew what I was capable of and knew that this would be a great role, and it was. And so back then, the Lightning actually had two hosts, Jenny Dean and this guy, I don't remember his last name. His name was Todd. That's all I remember.
Okay.
And so on game nights, they would either like co-host together, or he would do a night, she would do a night. I don't remember what the arrangement was. And so on one particular game night, I'm in my office, and I hear the game night director in my boss's office freaking out, basically going, I don't know what the F we're going to do, and I can't believe this and blah. And I'm like, what is he talking about? I'm like eavesdropping.
Right.
And basically, long story short, the dude Todd was out of town or something, and Jenny Dean has a family emergency. 2 hours before puck drop, I have to go now. I'm leaving.
Oh, wow.
So we have no host for the game, right? And so I'm hearing what's transpiring. So I walk down the hallway, I knock on the door, and I'm like, Mark, I'm like, if anybody's ready to like hop in and help out, you know I'm more than capable to get in front of a crowd, and I know what needs to be done. Right. And he looks at the director and goes, I don't think you have a choice. He's like, you better throw in the wolf. And so he's like, Greg, like, let's go, and gets the earpiece. And so again, now I'm like, holy crap. I've transpired from radio to plaza hosting to now I get to actually host in the inside.
Wow.
And so I'm like a fan. So like the fan gets to hang out with other fans and do fun stuff with the fans, and it translated like that. This guy's one of us. He's having fun. Like he's one of us.
Yeah, yeah.
And so so it was awesome. I loved it. And basically, it was like, great, this is cool. Now we know if we need a backup, we have somebody in our own building. Yeah. And that was it. Wow. So I went back to her, went back to him. And so the next season, 2007 season, she ends up getting a job on Bay News 9, and the dude, Todd, leaves the market.
Yeah.
And so I kind of just slid into the role because they knew he's done a game for us before.
Yeah.
I didn't have to audition or anything like that, and I started taking it over for the Lightning and for the Tampa Bay Storm.
Wow.
And so that was up until 2009, before Vinnick bought the team. That was when we had really bad ownership, who came in, and they literally fired everybody. And so I got booted from hosting and from marketing. Got picked up by iHeartRadio, which back then was Clear Channel, to be the promotions director for WDAE, which is sports radio. Wow. So you went from radio, sports radio. So I became promotions director for DAE, WFLA, and eventually 95.7 The Beat, and did that. Meanwhile, I was still doing Tampa Bay Storm games because the girl who ended up being the host for that season and a half, Brittany, was the new marketing vice president's assistant. She wanted to be more of the Gabby Shirley, the Keely Chelios, more of the sideline reporter. Sure. Well, she told her, in order to get to that, you need to do the in-game hosting to get to that level.
Oh,
and
wow.
so she didn't really want to do that role. She's like,
Yeah.
but I'll do it because I want to get to that role.
Right.
Never transpired. And in the meantime, she didn't want to do arena football, so I still did it. It was a very weird arrangement.
Yeah.
While I'm still the promotions director. Then the Arena League folds, goes away, and so I'm just doing promotions. Mr. Vinnick comes in, buys the team. Todd Lywicki, who was our CEO, Steve Griggs, you immediately go, where's our season ticket member feedback? We want to see what they're saying.
Yeah.
New ownerships come in. What are the fans saying about the team? And in those feedback surveys, they were like, where's Greg Wolf? What happened to Greg Wolf? And they're like, who's
really?
this Greg Wolf guy? And they go to Bill Wickett, who's this Greg Wolf guy? He's like, well, he hosts at Arena Football, and he's now at our broadcast partner at WFLA. He's promotion.
Right.
See if he wants to come back. And I was like, holy crap. And so they called me to come back, which in sports, that normally doesn't happen.
Yeah.
They're just going to go a new direction and just the fans will get used to it type of a vibe.
Right.
And then it was a lockout year. So we really didn't have hockey for half a year, remember?
Yeah,
And then ever since then, Vinnick buys a team, and the rest has been just a straight-up trajectory ever since.
Seriously. I mean, it became a hockey town after
So,
that.
so I kind of fell into that role, so to speak. So I was doing promotions at iHeart and still hosting games.
Yeah.
And then eventually decided with my business partner to leave corporate America and start. We actually had Street Laced was created in this time frame as a side hustle.
Yeah.
And Blaze and I both decided at that time in 2016 that we want to leave corporate America and focus solely on Street Laced. And it was the best decision we ever made because here we are now. It's 2025, and it's been nothing but up and up and up for Street Lace as well. So it's been a great
and
decision.
I do want to get into Street Lace in a moment. So I love that story though, because you say you kind of fell into it, but you didn't really fall into it. I mean, you saw the opportunity and you seized it.
Pretty
right?
much.
And then you made such an impact that they called you back. So I think that's awesome. And like I said, I mean, you can tell when you're out there that you love what you're doing. It really comes across.
Thank you.
I think the people connect with you.
For
Therefore,
sure.
that's why you're doing what you're doing. I want to talk to you real quick about the season itself going
Sure.
on right now for the Lightning. I think we're like 58-24 or something like. Am I right on that?
No, you're a little
52 and 28.
No, we're 30.
I'm that off?
Like I think we're on game
the hell
50.
The hell number was I looking at?
I don't know what you were looking at. I think we only have like 20. So I don't know if we're like 20-something losses, 30-something wins, like 5 overtime, something like that. We're something in that realm.
Okay, so how do you feel that it's going so far? I mean, just give me kind of your personal input.
I think, just like the rest of the fans, we're spoiled, right? We've won for so long, like going over a decade. We've been so good for so long that the standard has been set so high that when we haven't won every single game, like our fans like freak out. And so Cooper and Brisebois are always preaching process over outcome. That's the one thing they continually preach.
Right.
And it's like you have to believe in the process over the outcome, because as long as you stick to the plan, it will come. And that's traditionally been the case. Like it's proof's in the pudding.
Sure.
So here we are at this point in the season, and I think where the Atlantic Division is at right now, it is so crowded with so many teams so close to each other.
Yeah.
And it's anybody's race. So we're getting ready to head into the Four Nations face-off break here. And so these next couple games tomorrow and the next 2 after that before the break are vital because those are all divisional opponents.
Yeah.
So if you can somehow muster 3 of the 4 or 4 of the 4 wins, you've automatically propelled yourself back to the top of those standings, and you still have games in hand on some of these teams as well. So we're not in a bad spot. I think we have some holes. We've had some issues. We haven't had J.J. Moser. When he was off and running to start the season, he's been injured. Hopefully we get him back soon. And then, again, injuries have played a role, figuring out what the lines are. I think we know the guys that are producing. We're the only team in the NHL that has 4 players with 50 or more points.
Wow.
It's insane,
Yeah,
right?
that is
So Hagel, Kucherov, Hagel, Point, and Gensel. People also freaked out when we lost Stamkos, and rightfully so. He's been the face of the franchise forever. But you're seeing now the season that Jake Gensel is having, and it's almost like, well, damn, maybe they actually know what they're talking about, right? So you have to give credit where credit's due. I think we're still a few, maybe a piece or two of the puzzle maybe away from getting that core and nucleus right. Getting J.J. Moser back will be huge. Will we be movers at the deadline? I think so. I think Julian may make a move because he's always very good about addressing where the shortcomings may be and addressing that to make the team better. And at the end of the day, that's his job. His job is to make the team better and give us the best possible chance to win championships. So I feel good at where we're at. I'll feel better tomorrow night if we take out Ottawa again and then take it, heading into Montreal and then Detroit actually on Saturday and then Montreal. I feel we're better than all those teams. I really do. So, and you've always got Vazzy back there, and anytime you got Andre Vasilevsky, that's 100% of security. It's just facts. He's the best in the world. So I feel good about it. I'll feel better coming out of the Cup or the Four Nations Cup face-off. I'll feel better knowing kind of where we're at and see how we kind of go down the stretch.
Got it. Did you go ahead and hit the restart? Okay, cool. Let me just do another one of those cool claps.
Do it.
Thank you. Well, what about, so, I mean, you just mentioned Stamkos, and obviously everybody was disappointed when he left, but now are you kind of feeling that was the right move? I mean, I haven't really been paying attention to Stamkos since he left, obviously.
He got off to a really rough start. I think Nashville as a team as a whole is not having a great season, and again, it's surprising because of the talent level that is on that team. When you saw the season started, I honestly looked at their roster. I'm like, this is the Stanley Cup champ. This is the team right here because Marchessault and Riley, the amount of powerhouse guys they have on their team and goaltending, there's on paper they look phenomenal, but it hasn't translated. Again, you can put all the best guys together, but if there's no continuity, if there's no culture, the same culture in the locker room, all of those things do play a role.
Sure.
And so I felt just like everybody else, I felt bad that he had to leave and go to a new team when, again, it was so hard to see him in yellow. It still blows my mind.
Yeah, right.
So was it the right decision for the team? I mean, right now it looks like it was the right decision because of how much Gensel has produced as opposed to, what is Stamkos doing? And, again, I don't think you can really compare the two because Stamkos is not playing with Kucherov and Point. He's playing on a different team, so you can't really compare the two. But if you're just going by numbers, I think Gensel has the winning edge as far as where the season is in his numbers. So does that mean it makes your team better? Well, yeah, because on 5-on-5, and like I said, we have 4 guys that have over 50 points.
Yeah.
It's kind of, the facts are the facts. The numbers are the numbers. They don't lie. So I liked the move. It was, a very tough pill to swallow because I think everybody still loves Stammer. I truly believe that he'll be like a Messier and sign again, to finish, to end here. I just think it's
what everybody.
So, huh? I truly
you think he's got that many more seasons in him?
I do. I think he's got a handful of seasons. For sure, he's got a handful of seasons left. I think that he means too much to the city and to the franchise, and I think he'll eventually end up, coming back, having his number retired here, and he'll end up, living. I truly believe a lot of these guys, when they are done their hockey careers, because of the bond that they formed winning the Stanley Cups, and that's like Pat Maroon, Alex Killorn, Ryan McDonough's already back here, Steven Stamkos. I feel a lot of these guys are going to end up here because, again, they form such a bond. Do you want to go live in some place cold up in the north, or do you want to live beach and still play hockey and be a part of the Lightning organization too, because again, those guys all cemented their legacies here. So if they want to be involved from a coaching standpoint, from the Lightning development camps, for kids, there's going to be their door would be wide open for all of them. So I truly believe that once their careers have wrapped, that a lot of those guys, you're going to see them wrapping it up here.
Okay, yeah. Let's move away from the Lightning for a second.
Sure.
I could talk to you about that all night, and I know we got places to be. One thing you were doing for a while, and maybe you're still doing, I just haven't seen it, but I loved it, was the 3 dads in the minivan. What's going on with that?
No, so 3 dads in a minivan, not that we don't want to do that anymore, but it didn't. It kind of ran its course, and then COVID happened, just as we all know, and it kind of made things difficult because Ed's dad was sick, and we couldn't risk, being in certain environments, and so we kind of shelved it for a little bit, and we kind of brought it back more into a podcast video form, not so much in the minivan, but when the Lightning were in the VSG group had the identity Tampa Bay, the website, and it was supposed to be like a YouTube for just Tampa content. We were part of the influencer group. that was, providing content. It was the right place at the right time.
Right.
And we had a great concept, and like having Derek Brooks in the minivan and Jay
that
Farrow.
was so cool.
Yeah, I mean, looking back, we had some good conversations, and Adam Anderson from Gravedigger was like doing donuts in Ed's minivan in the parking lot at Raymond James Stadium. There's a lot of great stuff that came from that.
Yeah.
But we all have businesses. Kevin is now on WQIK. He goes by KC now. He does the afternoon show on WQIK, and Ed's got his events done right, and I've got Street Lace and all that. So again, just our lives all got super busy. It doesn't mean that it's completely off the shelf to be revisited someday.
I hope it is.
Because again, I thought we had something there, especially with the Dad's Van video that got some national attention.
Yeah.
That video we did to Drake's God's Plan that we redid.
That's amazing.
It was awesome. So it was a good time while we had it.
Well, I hope you guys bring it back because it was a lot of fun to watch. Yeah,
it was fun, man.
So tell us about those who maybe don't know what is Street Laced and what is exactly you guys do. How do they find you guys? What services can you offer?
Absolutely. So streetlaced.com, just how it sounds, street and like you're lacing your shoes. Streetlaced.com was originally formed in 2005, 2006, after I had left Wild 98.7. My business partner, Blaze, at that time was the music representative, label representative for like 5 or 6 of the major record labels at that time.
Oh, wow.
And he was our market representative. So if that was Interscope, Def Jam, Sony, Atlantic, just the big record labels that had a lot of the artists we were playing on Wild, he was their market representative. Back when we actually used to have music stores, and they used to have like in-store displays, right? His job was to handle those things, to make sure the DJs were serviced with his artist records, all of that stuff. He would do in-club promos when like Big Pun album in stores, next week. So he would come to the club, do a whole bunch of promo setup and give away. So again, our worlds overlapped a lot when I was on radio.
Right.
And so when I left Wild, he approached me and said, hey, I could use your help. You have relationships. You know the DJs. You know the club owners. I've got all this work coming down from these labels. I could use your help. And the more we talked, I said, I don't know if I should work for you, but maybe we should form a legitimate company together. However, you already have the record labels. What am I bringing to the table?
Sure.
So the only thing that I think is viable in this situation is I need to go get 6 more record labels off of the power of the majors you have. There's a lot of smaller record labels, and again, this is early mid-2000s.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of smaller record labels in Florida. South Beat Records was one of them. Raucous from New York. Like there was a bunch of record labels that were smaller, but still had relatively decent artists.
Yeah.
So I approached these smaller labels and said, hey, we're the crew in Tampa that handles these big majors.
Right.
We're already out in the field doing the work. Why wouldn't you want to piggyback your artists onto the routes that we're already doing?
Right.
And you basically get to reap the same rewards.
Makes sense, yeah.
Right? And I know your budget's probably not the same as Interscope Records, but you probably have something, and Tampa's a growing market, so it just makes sense. And sure enough, that was enough of a sell to these smaller labels, and now we became literally Tampa's music promoters.
Wow.
And so that's why it was Street Lace. We're literally lacing the streets with music. That was our job. And so this is kind of like when the digital age was getting ready to happen in MP3s and things were going away from CDs, and like we kind of saw the writing on the wall, and we kind of transitioned away from the music industry and kind of left the label stuff and started working more so with the DJs and local artists in regards to how do I get my music on the radio?
Yeah.
Right? Because everybody's like, oh, I got a great record. Okay, well, how do you get it on the radio? There's a whole bunch of process and steps that have to go into play for you to just get on the radio.
Right.
So we knew the label people. We knew the radio people. We knew the DJs. We're like, we have something viable here, the knowledge and the guidance that maybe we can not necessarily be a consultant, but let's curate a program that can help local artists with the end goal of hopefully your song gets on the radio.
I love
and
that.
We did that for a while.
Right.
And again, we kind of weren't sure where the company was going. And again, having a street team, we get a phone call from, and again, this is 2005, 2006. I start with the Lightning in 2006. This is a side hustle. I'm inside Amalie Arena, which back then was St. Pete Times Forum. There's an event department inside St. Pete Times Forum. So the girl who used to work there was like, hey, who does your street promotion, like promotions for concert events. And
right.
she's like, oh, we use this guy, and he has like a pamphlet that's around the city. And I was like, let me see that thing. And I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, I have never seen this anywhere. I've been in Tampa a long time. Where is his distribution list? Like, what places are these at?
Yeah.
And she kind of like was beating around the bush about things. I'm like, okay, what if I told you this? My company could do the same amount of work. We're going to document the locations we're at, and we will provide you with a photo recap, a location report, and we'll beat this guy's rate by 10%.
Wow, brilliant.
And she was like, done.
Yeah.
And so now we started doing promotions for Amalie or St. Pete Times Forum for concert events.
Yeah.
Whether that was go out to other concerts and promote flyers or whatever it was.
Sure.
Well, now they're getting a phone call from Live Nation at the amphitheater from Dave Harbin. He's like, hey, do you guys have a promo team? I'm kind of in need. And, oh, we use this company, Street Laced.
Right.
Dave Harbin from Live Nation is calling us. Now we're doing all this stuff for Live Nation. Guess what? Ruth Eckerd Hall is calling Dave Harbin. Do you guys have a promo team that we have a now Street Lace has become every venue in the city, from Tampa Theater to Ruth Eckerd Hall to the Strass Center to Live Nation to AEG Live. Like, we became, now they're like street promoters for their concert events, college campuses, like whatever. So now that's kind of shifted another realm.
Right.
In this whole process, we kept hearing from our DJs, and again, we were talking earlier about how Ybor here used to be so more club-driven than it was bar.
Yeah, definitely.
Our DJs would be down here doing these clubs, and some of these guys have kids. You know, they're working to 3 in the morning, and they were getting frustrated because they're not getting paid right away at the end of the night. The bar owners are paying out the door girl, the security guys, counting the drawer.
Yeah.
The DJ's just sitting there waiting to get paid.
What the hell?
And so we saw, we're like, would you guys be interested in just being able to show up, do your job, and leave, and we'll go get your money for you? Is it worth it to you to spend a small fee, a small percentage, to not have to deal with it anymore? And they're like, yes. And we're like, okay. So we're going to treat this just like all these establishments treat their liquor distributors, and we're going to give you an invoice at the end of the month. And it's going to be this DJ now is represented by our company, and we'll send you an invoice. We'll come pick it up like a check, like your distributors drop off the product. You sign the invoice. We're going to treat it as such.
Smart move.
And it's not really like you having to say in it. This is how it's going to be.
Right.
And so we approached the DJs that wanted to be a part of that, and we started representing them in that fashion because it was worth it for them to get their time back and to just show up, do my job, and not have to deal with the BS. And so that's how we were able to form this DJ network, which is now 45 of Tampa's.
I was just
like
going to
biggest
ask, how many you have? So
45.
About 45 now.
Every you want female DJs, country DJs, hip hop, Latin, like we have every base covered.
Wow.
And we're now in all the venues: Tampa Bay Lightning, Buccaneers, USF, IMG Academy, City of Tampa, Hillsborough County, you name it. So the company has ebbed and flowed and changed numerous times over the years to now where we are the DJ booking agents for DJs. We have a full array of entertainers. You need a bouncy house for your kid's birthday party. You need a balloon artist, face painters.
God, so you really
need
do
breakdance crews, still walkers.
Bouncy house.
Literally, like we've found a void to say, wait a minute, again, for venues like Hillsborough County Parks and Rec. Well, we want to have a big community event.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to call the bouncy house person. You're gonna have to find a face painter. You're gonna have to find somebody with a dunk tank. You're gonna have to find 7 vendors. You're gonna have to all send their W-9s. Call us.
Right.
We have it all. We'll do it all for you.
Love it.
And so you tell us your budget. We're gonna fit. We're gonna say, here's everything you can do for your budget. You can even pick and choose, like, to make it work for you.
Yeah.
And so that's now what Street Lace has become. So full entertainment imprint, booking agents. We still do grassroots marketing, street level stuff, because again, what we learned in hip hop and street marketing promotions and grassroots still works today for businesses. And so we have businesses, that call us, say, hey, I want to do a neighborhood campaign. I have a Bay City Cabinets was one of the customers that we had. Yeah. And so he wanted us to go to neighborhoods and do door hanger campaigns to promote cabinets. So,
but it's not all just commercial, right? Like you do like civilian,
social media. Like we'll do businesses or help out businesses that don't have the wherewithal or the understanding of the social world, but know they have to operate in that space. But my guys need to go out there and do air conditioning installs, but I know I need to be living in that space. I don't know how to do it. Can you help? Yes. And so we will. We'll create the content. You tell us what you're doing, and we'll translate it to relate to homeowners in a very easy fashion to understand. All your technology jargon, we don't get that. Dumb it down for us. And so we do stuff like that all the time too. Okay. So it's a whole imprint. When you say marketing and promotions, we kind of do it all.
Yeah, and can like just a regular resident use your services? Like if I had like a
100%.
house party or something.
We do house parties all the time.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of our business is private events, house parties, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, weddings. We have a whole wedding division as well. Uplighting, all of that. We have it all, man.
Yeah.
Like literally, if you go to streetlace.com, everything is on there, and there's examples of our work, our client base. There's like if you click the latest tab, it'll have all the stories of the things that we've been involved with lately in the city of Tampa. I mean, it's all there. The hub is there for you.
That's awesome. Yeah, man. I got to hire you guys for my next house party.
Please let me know.
Yeah,
We've got plenty of
I'll be
people.
reaching out.
Yeah, man, we're ready.
I'll be reaching out. Hey, I wanted to ask you something else. I forgot about it earlier when we were talking about hockey. So sorry to go back to a hockey question real quick.
Of course.
I saw 2026. Raymond James Stadium.
Finally.
We're going to be hosting a hockey game outdoors. You've been to an outdoor hockey game,
Yes.
and I think even hosted.
Yes,
right?
plenty.
Was that in Nashville or?
I've done. No, I didn't host the Lightning one in Nashville because they treated that as a home game for Nashville. My boy Big D is the host for Nashville. I would have loved to have kind of co-hosted and made it like a college atmosphere us versus them, but it was their hometown, just like now it's our hometown. But I have hosted the Stadium Series in Seattle. I've hosted in North Carolina. I've hosted in Boston. I've done 4 stadiums. They all blend together. They're all different, right? So the Winter Classics are in baseball stadiums, where Stadium Series are in football stadiums.
Okay. Yep.
So it has been talked about for years and years. Steve Griggs has been pushing this with the league for years and years, and they finally are like, we're going to do it. And then everybody's like, how is this possible? Just because of where we live. And like you just said, it's literally February 1st was literally 4 days ago, and it was in the mid-70s, right? So you're like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Well, they obviously, guys, have figured out the technology. They have the engineers. They have a plan.
Sure.
So it's going to be absolutely epic to have outdoor hockey in Raymond James Stadium in February next year, which is actually Gasparilla weekend.
Oh,
so we have
is
the
it?
Gasparilla Parade Saturday, and then the Stadium Series is
Oh,
Sunday.
wow,
So you know the
that'll be-
NHL is going to be in the Gasparilla Parade.
that'll be
My guess
fantastic.
is they're going to try to co-brand the Stadium Series with the Lightning, maybe redo our float to kind of push the Stadium Series.
Yeah.
But it's going to be epic, and they figured it out. So we're going to have hockey outdoors. It's going to be amazing.
That's going to be wild. And I assume you'll be hosting.
I don't know, because again, I would think so. I mean, it would be dumb to not host it. I mean, I'm the host of the Lightning. It is traditionally it is considered a home game. However, with that being said, it's not the Lightning's say. It's the league's, right? So it's a league event. It's really their choice. They could bring in the host from Vegas and New York to do it. That's not my decision.
Yeah.
Will they? I doubt it, just because Michaela, who has been the co-host with me for a lot of these league events, she's the host for the Bruins. Guess who we're playing?
The Bruins.
So why wouldn't you have Greg and Michaela again host this game? It just
that'd
makes
be
too much
awesome.
sense. I would think that we're both going to be doing
Good.
it.
I'm
next
excited.
year.
I'm definitely going to try to get tickets
You
to that.
should.
And speaking of that, so settle a debate for me I was having with my sister is, will they sell it out?
Oh, yeah,
For sure?
I would think it's
wasn't
going to be
so
sold
sure.
out before it's even close. Because,
Really?
yeah, because you got to think who's coming down in February. Boston fans.
Sure.
What is
true.
life like in February in Boston?
That's true.
Cold, miserable, snowy. Could be a blizzard.
Great reason to get away.
Great reason to get down to Tampa, Florida, right around Super Bowl time, right? So I think that the fan base, being that it's a rival of yours now, and it's Boston, it's a cold city, they're going to come down. So if you figure half the fans are Boston, you don't think we have enough Lightning fans that get. Here's the other thing, too, as I've learned from doing the Global Series in Stockholm, Sweden, that was back-to-back games. It was Lightning and Buffalo. And technically, one game was supposed to be Buffalo's home game. The second one was technically supposed to be the Lightning's home game.
Yeah.
Both of those crowds each night were 90% Lightning fans, which blew my mind because both of those have been around a lot longer than we have.
Yeah.
But that tells you the impact across the globe that we have.
Sure.
So fans knowing, Lightning fans that don't live here or just fans from across the globe, they as well, knowing that there's a stadium outdoor game in Tampa in February, they're going to travel here.
Yeah, that's
so
a good point.
you know what I'm saying?
That's
So
a good
you
point.
think
I
about
wasn't
the
really
tourism,
thinking about that,
the travel, your local fans, just fans that live in our state, and then half the Boston contingency, you're going to sell it out.
Wow, that's like what 75,000.
I would think 70.
People?
Yeah, for sure.
Wow, that will. That will
It's going to be epic.
Game. Yeah,
it's going to be amazing. I cannot wait.
Yeah, I'll definitely make sure we get.
You
out
should.
To that. So back to street lace real quick. Sorry, I wanted to ask you that question before.
Absolutely.
I just forgot about it again. So we're going to wrap it up here in a minute, but what are like the big plans for 2025? Anything new or in the works?
So one of the big projects that we picked up this past year was the Tampa Bay Sun, which is amazing that we have a professional women's sporting team, a franchise here in Tampa Bay. Their inaugural season started this past fall, and so they asked me to be the host for the Sun, which is amazing. I'm honored to be a part of it. And Hard Rock is one of their main sponsors, and we have a great long-standing relationship with the Hard Rock. We're doing anywhere between 17 to 20 plus DJ dates at the Hard Rock a month between the L Bar, Hard Rock Cafe, the pool, the Res Grill. Our crew's been in there for years now, and so we have a great working relationship with them. They have been tasked to be handling the entertainment elements for the elephant in the room, the entertainment elements for the Tampa Bay Sun. So with our great relationship with them, we're providing all the DJs for the beer garden, pre-party, intermissions, all of that. So, or halftime, I should say. I get my sports mixed up. So we've kind of partnered with the Hard Rock and the Tampa Bay Sun, and now we're getting ready to kick into the spring season because they have a fall and a spring season, and that starts on Saturday. So we kind of picked them up as a client this past 24-25 season, which has been fantastic. I'm trying to think of anything else. We've been with IMG Academy now for, I think, 15 years with handling their on-campus events, their prom, graduations, their football games. We've been doing a lot more also with USF, where before we were just doing football. Now we're doing basketball as far as DJ, like Matt Dodge has become the official DJ for USF. Athletics, and now the new stadium that's coming on campus in a few years. They've actually integrated Matt's like DJ booth like in front of the student section. Like they're literally thinking those things now, like awesome. Thinking ahead, like how do we stay ahead of the times? And so it's been awesome to work with them, and so much so now that we're doing volleyball and lacrosse and baseball. Like so we're starting to expand into other college sport arenas as well. I'll be hosting the match coming up next Friday at Raymond James Stadium, the Fan Fest for the Inter Miami Orlando City game, which is huge with Messi coming to town. So there's a big fan fest for that. I'll be hosting that. So we're just, we're entrenched. The bowl games, we did the Gasparilla Bowl, the ReliaQuest Bowl. So we've had a great working relationship with the Tampa Bay Sports Commission for quite a long time. Literally, I think going back to 2008 when the Women's Final Four was here, which is coming back this April again. Fingers crossed I'll be involved with that as well. But we've had a great working relationship with them, whether it's been the Frozen Four, the SEC Championships, the College Football Playoff. We've been involved with Rob Higgins and Claire, and everybody over there has been great with us. So just looking to continue to show up and show out for our city. Because our city's on the map. Shouts to Dochi with the Grammy, from Blake High School, which is the home of the Tampa Bay Sun. It all comes together. We're all winning here. It's all great.
It's unbelievable. It sounds like you're just speeding up into 2025, not slowing down.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm gonna let you go.
Well, thank you for having me. Congrats to you on the new podcast.
Thank you.
Man.
Yep, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Remember, you can't, just like the last time, you can't get out of here without a lightning round. Okay.
Here we go. I like a good lightning round.
You're gonna get that 60 seconds going for me.
All right, here we go.
All right. Well,
are these like one answer questions?
These are this or that.
Okay.
So there's no wrong answer.
Oh, okay. This or that.
Yeah. It's just what do you like better? What do you prefer? Okay.
Copy.
All right. Ready? Let's go. All right. A Bucks game at the Raymond James Stadium or a Lightning game at Amalie Arena?
Lightning game at Amalie Arena.
St. Pete Beach or Clearwater Beach?
St. Pete Beach.
Ybor City Nightlife or Hyde Park Village Dining?
Oh, I'll go with Hyde Park Village.
Armature Works or Sparkman Wharf?
Sparkman Wharf.
Let's see. Cuban sandwich or wings?
Oh, man, it depends on my mood. Just because we're in Ybor, Cuban sandwich.
Gasparilla Pirate Festival or the Florida State Fair?
Gasparilla.
Walking down Riverwalk or walking down Bayshore?
They're both amazing. They're connected almost. Bayshore.
Cocktail or beer?
Neither.
South Tampa Charm or St. Pete Artsy Vibe?
Oh, South Tampa Charm all day.
Watching a live band or relaxing on a rooftop bar in downtown Tampa?
I'm going to go band.
All right, that's it. I mean, you were close.
I was close, 51 seconds. I mean, I host Rock the Park as much as I can, at least I hope to try to do Rock the Park 6 times a year because it's, the first Thursday every month at Curtis Hickson Park. So if you haven't gotten a chance to experience Rock the Park, it's freaking fantastic. It's opened my eyes to so much talent in Tampa Bay, and every single month, Joe and Broken Mold and Tampa's Downtown Partnership, they do a fantastic job of curating completely different artists, genres every single month that you never know what you're going to get, but you're always going to leave there going, holy crap, that was awesome. Like, I've never not left there going, man, I wasn't really feeling them tonight. Like, my eyes have been completely wide open to so many amazing bands. I've learned so much. So if you have a chance to get out to Rock the Park, again, it's the first Thursday every month at Curtis Hickson Park. I'm there when I'm not hosting a Lightning game or have a conflict. I normally host that. But our city of Tampa's got a lot of talent, a lot of winning going on here, and I'm just glad to be a small part of it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you again so much for
thank
coming
you.
on.
Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Duomichi. The pizza was fantastic.
Yes, thank you, Duomichi, for sponsoring this episode. So where great can they find you online real quick?
Instagram, X, because no longer called Twitter. Greg Wolf TBL on the socials. You guys, again, every Wednesday we drop an episode of the Bolts Block Party podcast, which you can download on any of the podcast sites as well, TampaBayLightning.com. And I hope to, be raising another Stanley Cup here in the summer, and hopefully we'll have another boat parade.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, this is Tampa Bay Banter, episode 3. We'll see you guys later.
Thanks, guys.